So is the Glock 47 the best duty pistol in 2025? All right, everybody, welcome back to Iron Infidel on this disgustingly hot Arizona summer day to talk about the Glock 47. I know, I can feel everybody's eyes rolling in their head, and I completely understand when talking about Glock and is it the best duty pistol, because there are some strong opinions out there, of some of which I share as well. So I know the comments are gonna get spicy. Some people are gonna be mad, some people are gonna be happy, some people are gonna be a little bit depressed when we start talking about some things right here. And if you need an emotional support bottle, get over to ironinfidel.com. We've got those battle bottles, the fitness gear, and the EDC stuff, the softest clothing in the game, over at ironinfidel.com. Also, make sure you do subscribe to the channel and let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. So the Glock 47 MOS, the Generation 5. This started as a contract, I believe, for Border Patrol and then worked its way into the civilian market. And now Glock has since done away with some of the older generations in 17, several other models. So it seems to be the Glock 47 is going to be the future for the MOS system in Generation 5 for the 9mm from Glock. Now, while the Glocks are not my personal favorite pistols out there, we all have to admit it is one hell of a proven system. And there's millions of them out there in use all around the world, from military and law enforcement, a lot of great civilians out there. Now, Glock has been extremely slow to change when it comes to pistols, but in Generation 5, they did make some strategic changes to make the system a little bit more modular than it was before. And I know in previous generations, you could use magazines within the same caliber from the 17, 19, 26, or if you like them big fat slow boys in 45, the 30 and the 21. But previously, you could not use slides on different sizes. So if you took a 17 slide and tried to put it on a 19 frame, you were asking for a lot of trouble because the locking blocks were different, which meant the barrel lugs were different, and you were gonna get that thing stuck on there. So what exactly is the Glock 47? If you don't know, is it just another plastic fantastic from Gaston's Armory? It is a polymer striker fired 9mm pistol based on the 19 locking block from previous generations with a 2-pin design. Now, Gen 5 does have a slightly different trigger, and the 47 actually seems to have the best trigger out of all the Gen 5s I own right out of the box. It does have the Glock modular optics system, also known as MOS, front and rear serrations, the same single slot rail up front, the same anemic grip texture, the same reversible magazine release, but the slide stop slide release is ambidextrous, and the magwell is flared, which I am a huge fan of because generally magwells or flared native magwells can only help you. And most importantly, it does come with 3 full capacity magazines, which just should be the standard, and anything else is pretty much a hate crime against you. All right, so why do people actually like the Glock 47 or the Glock platform in general? Let's just face it, it is extremely proven out there in the market. It is an extremely simple design, extremely easy to fix. It's pretty accurate. Easy. Easy. 75. Okay. 100, now we'll go 125. There we go, 125. Oh, 1 round left. Let's try 150. All right, 150. Try 175. First shot, 175. Took me a few, but that's 200 yards with the Glock 47. It's been proven in very austere environments around the world. The price point is not terribly expensive. They sell them to military and law enforcement agencies or government entities extremely cheap on an agency purchase. They have proven safeties, and it is drop safe to an extreme degree, which seems to be a big issue right now out there with other manufacturers. And the availability of parts, both factory and aftermarket, seems to be pretty unmatched, to the point where I've said your grandmother probably has some Glock parts stored away somewhere up in the attic. So why do agencies seem to default to the Glock pistol? And there are some very good reasons for that, right? They're proven, they're accurate, they're easy to work on, cheap to maintain, cheap to purchase up front. They are generally a little bit easier to teach than some other pistols out there, like the 1911, which has external safeties, backstrap safeties, things like that. And they do have a huge amount of uniformity when you have an entire agency carrying the same pistol that takes the same ammunition, the same magazine. It's an overall cost cut, but also allows officers to exchange magazines out on the range, training, or God forbid out there in the real world in a scenario where they need to start exchanging magazines. But that uniformity is really a huge positive. A nice benefit of that modularity built into the Generation 5 using the 19 2-pin locking block is that 47 gives you a full-size 17-round grip from the Glock 17, but gives you the 19 length dust cover, allowing you to not only use your 47 or 17 slide, but you can also swap over a 19 slide to it and have a little bit less length if you want to carry off duty, concealed, 3 o'clock, appendix, whatever. That can be an added benefit as well. So why do some people not like the Glock 47 or Glock in general? And one of the biggest things you're gonna hear is the aggressive grip angle, right? And I know I've got some additional stuff on here and we're gonna talk about that in a minute, but on a traditional Glock with nothing changed on it, you have to really aggressively rotate your wrist forward, which is just uncomfortable and not natural. Some love it, some hate it, and I get that. The next biggest thing you're gonna hear is it has a terrible trigger. And while that trigger is consistent and it does work, it sucks, right? Glock does not have a great trigger. It is very safe, but both the tactile feel and the operation of that trigger is not great. And if you think that's great, go fire a nice 1911 and you will then have experienced a great trigger, and then go shoot your Glock right next to it and you'll understand just how bad the Glock trigger is. That doesn't mean it's a bad trigger, it just means it's not the best trigger or as good of a trigger that it could be. The next thing that could be seen as kind of a con when it comes to the Glock is their MOS system, and this is why there are so many aftermarket plates for the Glock. That MOS system is not known for being great. I've seen those plates bend, I've seen them break, the screws come loose, there's not a lot of thread engagement. It's just overall not a great system, again, which is why there are so many aftermarket options available. Next up is going to be the grip texture. It's anemic, right? It's just not a lot. When this thing is going off in your hand and you're sweaty, Arizona day out here like we were dealing with, the minute your hands get a little bit wet, this pistol starts to slip all over the place, which is why you see so many companies offering pre-cut grip tape or handle it or goon tape or whatever it is that people are putting on their pistols to try and keep a better, more consistent grip on the pistols, to the point where there's even a material like lotion that you can put on your hand that basically turns it into glue so you can keep holding on to this pistol. That stuff is huge in the competition world. That's why all of those guys' hands are white at the end of a stage, because they're using that to keep a grip on the pistol that they're out there on the range with. Another thing you will hear a lot when it comes to the Glock is that it just feels like a brick in the hand, and that is true. It's a very square, blocky style pistol. Some love it, some hate it, but that is another big complaint out there. And the last thing that you hear a lot when people talk about not liking the Glock is the fact that generally they come with cheap plastic sights on them, or if you get one that has iron sights, they're not tall enough to use with the optic, which is basically just a waste of good metal night sights. Now, the performance of the Glock pistol, let's just be honest, these things absolutely smash. I know I can pick this Glock 47 up and it's gonna run. I can be extremely consistent with it. I shoot them fairly well, although it may not be the best grip angle for me. I know that when I pick this pistol up, I'm going to hit my intended target, and I'm likely going to be able to hit it very rapidly and very repeatedly. However, even for me, running Glock pistols a lot here for the channel and carrying one on duty for a great many years, after long, hard training days and a lot of rounds down range, I've always found my wrists and my bicep and the tendons in my forearm being sore at the end of that day as compared to other pistols just due to those aggressive grip angles. They will generally eat any ammunition you throw at them of quality from 115 up to 147, and you can generally run them extremely fast and flat once you've gotten used to the trigger and the angles. So there are some changes to mine, as you can see, right? What exactly are those? Let's talk about this back strap right here from Corel Defense. So this basically makes it mirror or come more in line with the grip angle of a 1911. So when I grip this pistol, I have a more natural point of aim for a very consistent point of impact. That helps a lot because, again, I don't like having my wrists just jacked forward. Up top, I'm running the Trijicon RMR HD. This is an amazing optic, one of the clearest reticles out there, and it is just battle proven. Trijicon makes amazing stuff. I do have a magwell down here from SLR, and to me, magwells are just a huge positive. Generally, they can only help you. They give you just that little bit of additional surface area to get that magazine in there under extreme circumstances, right? Imagine running around in an extremely chaotic environment, needing to do a magazine exchange. And I know someone's gonna pop in the comments and say, well, you should just be training for proficient magazine exchanges. Well, yes, I do that. And a lot of people that train for competition or law enforcement in the military do as well. But have you ever been in a chaotic event like a shooting where you are running around and attempting to change magazines, or even a competition under that level of stress while running and moving? That little bit of additional surface area can be a huge help under those adrenaline pumping scenarios. And since this is a duty pistol, I have the new Streamlight TLR1 HLX. So this is their new high lumen model. Got some new style switches on there, a little bit similar to the Surefire stuff. And if you're running a duty pistol out there, or law enforcement, military, security, you should probably have a light on that pistol, right? The only other thing, I am running Shield Arms mag extensions. They're super easy to put on, give you a few extra rounds. They do come with additional springs in them to make sure you're getting consistent feeding, and that is really what I like to do when it comes to a duty pistol, and I think this package fits me. Now, the reason I did these specific things is to make this pistol fit me a little bit more naturally, so I can perform a little bit more naturally with the pistol and not have to aggressively arc my wrist forward, worry about magazine exchanges and stuff like that. I know with what I've done to this, I can be just a little bit more consistent under stressful circumstances, a little bit more naturally with how my wrists and the angles of my body are going to interface with this pistol. Now, is Glock, or the Glock 47, the most reliable striker fired pistol out there? Because that used to be the old adage that people would fall back on. And while Glocks are extremely proven in extremely austere conditions, I would say that in the modern striker fired market with Walther PDPs, HKs, Smith & Wessons, and the new Echelon from Springfield, I think that in most hard use, duty, and military capacities, all of those pistols are probably going to perform right at the level of, or very close to, a Glock pistol. And I'm not talking about shoving mud all around the pistol and stuff, because if you shove enough stuff in the right place, you can pretty much shut anything down. They are not really any easier to teach than any other modern striker fired pistol out there, because most modern striker fired pistols pretty much all operate the same way. Some just have better triggers, maybe better serrations, better grip texture. It's a little bit of a give and a take. Are they still cheaper than other things to purchase for an agency, an entity, or an individual officer? Possibly, depending on the procurement contract, but many other manufacturers are trying to meet the agency purchase program price of a Glock so they can get a piece of that market as well. And while they are extremely safe, trust me, with any striker fired pistol, plenty of people every year negligently discharge their pistol, whether they are the person that can't figure out where to put their trigger finger on the range. But most times, negligent discharges happen in the home during maintenance, cleaning, or changing out of a part, because people fail to follow the breakdown procedure. Because when it comes to most modern striker fired pistols, you have to pull the trigger to complete the breakdown process. So anytime you are breaking down a striker fired pistol, the first thing you need to do is remove the feeding device and any ammunition from your working area. You're going to lock that slide to the rear, and you are going to not only visually but physically inspect the chamber and the magwell, and then you can pull the trigger and go through the breakdown process, right? That is pretty simple, but having seen a lot of negligent discharges when I was out there in law enforcement, showing up to a call, somebody put a hole in their hand or their floor or their couch or their table, or God forbid somebody else, that was generally the circumstance it happened in. So safety is always in the hands of the person holding the pistol. So to answer the question, is the Glock 47 the best duty pistol out on the market? And I would say no. With all of the modern offerings out there, it is not the best option for every person or every agency. However, they are a great pistol, but with all of the offerings out there, there is plenty of stuff to choose from that might fit your officers better or your agency better. Having said that though, if I were on the procurement process board or the range staff choosing to go with a pistol and the agency or city was dead set on going with Glock, the 47 would be the one that I would choose because it's got that little bit of modularity, so you can give the officer the opportunity to carry it on and off duty with a shorter 19 length slide, proven system, and all the other great things that come with a Glock purchase. Knowing that there are other pistols out there that I might personally choose over this, if they were dead set on the Glock brand, the 47 is the model I think that most people would probably be most benefited from. But again, if the city or the agency was dead set on the Glock brand, the 47 would be the one of most benefit to the officers and the agency, in my opinion. Be sure to get spicy in the comments down below. I will be there to read them and enjoy them with you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, get over to ironinfidel.com, and we'll see you guys out on the range.